The United States is now holding local mini-elections. However, as the candidate Joran Mamdani, known for his radical leftist stance, is expected to be elected as the mayor of New York, it seems that American politics will once again be shaken. President Trump directly attacked Joran Mamdani, labeling him a 100% communist. Let's examine this issue today. Let's review the mini local elections. The first midterm test of Trump's second term happened November 4th. Based on various opinion polls, it is expected that the Democratic Party will win in most regions. Key places to watch are Virginia, New Jersey, and New York City, all expected to go to the Democratic Party. Putting everything else aside, I think it would be good to focus on the New York mayoral election. I even think that maybe a major shift in American politics could start here. Joran Mamdani is predicted to win the New York mayoral election. If Joran Mamdani wins, he'll be New York City's youngest and first Muslim and South Asian mayor in over 100 years at just 34 years old. Joran Mamdani identifies as a democratic socialist and is considered radical left-wing. He gained support with bold pledges like freezing rent, appealing to New York's working class struggling with high costs. Recent polls show Joran Mamdani leading with 41% approval according to Atlas Intel. Andrew Cuomo, former New York governor, had 34%, while Republican Curtis Sliwa followed with 24%. In the Fox News poll, Joran Mamdani led Andrew Cuomo by 16 points. New York currently has the highest early voting rate. Between October 25 and November, 735,000 people voted early, over twice the 350,000 who voted in the 2021 election. The New York Times reports this is the highest early voting turnout for a non-presidential election. And a significant number of early voters are from the younger generation, the generation that supports Joran Mamdani. Joran Mamdani is apparently set to become New York's mayor. With this political newcomer likely to become New York's mayor, President Trump has begun launching major political attacks against Joran Mamdani. President Trump called Joran Mamdani a communist. President Trump said that if Mamdani is elected, New York City will face total economic and social disaster. He said if the communist candidate Mamdani wins the New York mayoral election, it's unlikely he'll send federal funds to his beloved first hometown, except for the bare minimum required. He is giving a lot of criticism. President Trump warned that if Joran Mamdani becomes New York's mayor, he will cut federal support for the city. In an interview with Columbia Broadcasting System, President Trump said that if he had to choose between a bad Democrat and a communist, he would choose the bad Democrat. He even hinted he hopes former New York Governor Cuomo wins. Joran Mamdani, a young leader, is rapidly gaining popularity among New York's youth and working class. He has become a symbol of change by tackling real-life issues traditional politicians ignored, such as housing shortages, transportation costs, and rising food prices. Candidate Mamdani's main pledge is a rent freeze. He stressed that housing is a human right, not an investment, and pledged to address New York's rising rent problem. In fact, rents in New York have soared by more than 40% over the past few years, and workers are spending more than half of their salaries on housing. He pledged to freeze private rents for 3 years, then cap increases so they don't surpass tenants' income growth. The second pledge is free public transportation. Mamdani views transportation as a public good and believes commuting should never be a burden. The fares for New York subways and buses, used by millions every day, have steadily increased, and the burden on low-income people has grown heavier. He suggested congestion charges, a carbon tax for large vehicles, and restructuring the transportation department's finances to allow free travel for all citizens. Lastly, he proposed the establishment of a public grocery store directly operated by New York City. He said the city government would buy groceries in bulk to offer them at lower prices and ease citizens suffering from rising costs. He said they would first open stores in low-income food deserts to provide basic nutrition for residents. However, implementing these welfare policies requires a large budget. Candidate Mamdani said he would increase corporate and high-earner income taxes, plus add a billionaire wealth tax to raise funds. He claimed that through these tax policies, it would be possible to secure about $9 billion annually, or about $13 trillion per year in additional tax revenue. His claim that millions of workers, not just a few wealthy people, built New York's economy has gained youth support, but angered business leaders and conservatives. When people worried the wealthy and corporations might leave to avoid taxes, he said this shows we're on the right track. Joran Mamdani's pledges are seen not just as simple welfare policies, but as an experiment to restructure the city's economic system. His emergence is being regarded as both a generational shift in New York politics and a signal of a new ideological transformation. There are significant concerns about Joran Mamdani Mamdani, but also high expectations. New York's working class and political generation view him as a symbol of hope, but anxiety about him is growing in business and political circles. The reason is simple. It's because he's a political newcomer with almost no experience in New York City's complex administrative system, and it's only been 5 years since he entered politics. People are concerned about whether someone like this can be responsible for New York City's annual budget of $112 billion, about 160 trillion won, and the lives of over 8 million citizens. His welfare promises, rent freezes, free public transport, and free childcare appeal to citizens but are seen by experts as a financial time bomb. New York City faces lower tax revenue and budget deficits post-COVID-19, raising concerns about whether Mamdani's proposed spending policies are sustainable. He says funding will come from higher taxes on the wealthy, corporations, and a billionaire wealth tax, but some warn that if businesses and wealthy people leave to avoid taxes, revenues could drop. Conservatives call him the Chavez of New York and warn he could cause a Venezuela-like collapse, while many Democrats also view him unfavorably. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer hasn't endorsed Mamdani, despite Mamdani being the official Democratic candidate. This is interpreted as a sign that even within the party, he is considered too radical, so they are keeping their distance from him. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries formally endorsed late in the campaign and did not join any campaign events. Even the party leadership is concerned that his radical socialist stance could backfire with moderate voters. Some Democratic insiders say if Mamdani becomes mayor, New York will serve as a test. Success could help progressives take over the party, but failure could hurt New York and affect the 2026 midterms and 2028 presidential election. President Trump warned that if Mamdani is elected, New York will be a disaster and called him a communist. These extreme reactions occur because Mamdani's political stance challenges the existing order. He pledged to shift the city's focus from the wealthy to workers, putting welfare and equality before capital and efficiency. Still, no one can guarantee what those ideals will bring given the complexities of administration and budgeting. The issue is, there are now discussions that this election might also harm President Trump. Polls show the Democratic Party leading in New York, Virginia, and New Jersey in this local election. Many see this as a preview of next November's midterms, with Democrats currently leading in the Virginia governor's race. Most polls show the Democratic candidate leading by about 10 points. Virginia has many government employees who were forced into unpaid leave due to federal restructuring and the shutdown. Judging the current administration is becoming more popular. On top of that, the current governor of Virginia is a Republican, but it's expected that the position could shift to the Democratic Party. The Democratic candidate leads in the New Jersey governor's race, though it's still fluctuating. New Jersey has long been a Democratic Party stronghold. As mentioned, the New York mayoral race was expected to be a landslide for candidate Joran Mamdani. Looking at the outlook, Joran Mamdani's victory is likely to be more than just a political change for New York City. It could be a signal that shakes up the political landscape across the entire United States. If he becomes mayor, the Democratic Party's progressive faction will likely gain influence and drive faster debates on the American welfare model. In particular, there is a high possibility that progressive values will spread, especially among the younger generation and immigrant communities. Conversely, the Republican Party and conservatives are likely to call this socialism and respond forcefully. President Trump will likely use this to boost conservative unity and argue it's needed to protect America from radical leftists, making it central to next year's midterm strategy. In the end, this New York mayoral election is expected to be not just a local election, but a preliminary battle in the ideological confrontation between progressives and conservatives over the future direction of the United States. What do you think about this local election in the United States? Please let us know in the comments. That concludes this video. Thank you.